Hello, 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 and welcome. It's Alertwolf here to bring you the Green Lantern, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 16. A review, and this one's called Steam Lantern. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this. I believe it's based off an Elseworld comic with this, Steam Lantern. And it's like, a steampunk society, industrial revolution, turn of the century style planet. And it's just, on a different world. So what they did was, and I will say this episode did throw me because I didn't think they were going this route, I assumed they were gonna, you're dealing with the antimatter universe, the antimatter universe. I assumed it was, going to go maybe in the Yellow Lantern direction and stuff like that. There's a lot you can do, but Steam Lantern Land was a shock to me. But really enjoyed this episode. So let me get right into the what happened, and then I'll give you my rating. So basically, Hal Jordan gets knocked into their universe. He falls into their planet. And, it's a strange world. He can't contact anybody. Obviously, he's in a different universe. And he's, looking around, trying to figure out his surroundings, his area. There's a woman on a soapbox, literally a soapbox, trying to motivate and rally the people against what appears to be tyranny. And the robots they're robots, by the way. They're very clunky and very like turn of the century-y looking. Almost, actually, they look a lot like Doctor Who robots. You know what I mean? That's what it reminds me of. And they're big and clunky, and they go to capture the chick, and out of nowhere, here comes the Steam Lantern, and his energy's green too. It's like a super rocket pack, and like he shoots like the energy at it, and so he fights the robot, and then Hal's seen enough. He joins in, and they win. And then they go to talk it out over, and they go to their airship, which is a big blimp, and that's their headquarters. And the chick is the Steam Lantern's chick. And all right, we get something good here, which I freaking love the possibilities. He goes, "Are you really a Green Lantern?" And the Steam Lantern's like, or the Steam Lantern goes to Hal Jordan. "Are you really a Green Lantern?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm a Green Lantern." He goes, I'm a Steam Lantern. It's not all, Basically, he's like, "Yeah, I modeled myself after the guy who called himself Green Lantern, and who saved their entire planet once." And he wore a red shirt and a cape. Called himself the Green Lantern. And if you look in his symbol of the steampunk symbol, you can tell whose lantern it is before he even gave you the description of his costume. And that is clearly the other whatchamacallit, the other Green Lantern. Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, and his power, the way they justified it in the comics, is a little different than Hal's. His is it's based off the what's it called, the Dark Star, or something like that. Basically, not to get too far into a tangent, its power source is like the raw form of the Green Lantern energy core material. Whereas the regular Green Lanterns use like the purified form, and the junk that they purified off of, right? That's where this Green Lantern gets his power from, and it's a little more mystical and wild, the energy. But whatever. All right, so that's cool that they even mentioned indirectly him. I love it, dig it, great. All right, so as it keeps going. He finds out more about the history and the backstory, and basically the professor is their greatest scientist, and he claims, and he's now he's the ruler, but he's become a bit of a dictator. And he's the ruler because he was the one that saved the world. Although currently people think it was Steam Lantern, and he saved the world by basically, you find out the story goes that Steam Lantern saved the world by knocking the Anti-Monitor in another universe, which is Hal's universe, obviously our universe. As the story goes on, they figure if they go to the professor's laboratory, they can use that equipment to amplify the signal and aim it at the Rift and contact. So Hal can contact his ship. So that's what they do. They go there. They use the equipment. It's like a little old schooly, and he uses it, and he managed to get up. He managed to send a signal out into space. Then I received the signal, and right before this, you have the two lanterns, old Fithead and old Big Jaw. You like that? You like the little nicknames I just invented for them? All right, Kilowog there. They're and Toma Ray arguing if Hal's alive or not, and Kilowog brings up a very good point. He's like, we all know what happens when lanterns die. The ring goes somewhere. There was no ring. He's not dead. And so as they're arguing about this, the phone call comes in, and Aya patches it through. She's like, yeah, you're not registering anywhere on our sensors or anywhere in this sector. And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of not in your universe. It turns out this guy's called the Anti-Monitor. He comes from a parallel universe, and this is the universe he came from, and this is the rip he went through. So they have a plan that with enough energy, they could, from both sides, they're going to open the rift, and Hal's going to go through. But it turns out, and Hal mentions to him, it turns out there was another Green Lantern that was here before, so he got off somehow. I'm sure this is how he did it. So they go to do that. The professor walks in after they're done with the conversation. They get into they get into a fight with the robots. Then the professor walks in, and he's like, "You're a fraud to Steampunk. We all know that I'm the one who saved the world, and you're the one who took credit for it." And they go back to the ship, and for a second there, Steampunk looked like he was about to admit it. So Steampunk, I'm calling him Steam Lantern, excuse me. Steam Lantern and them go back to their flying base. His chick goes inside, and then they have a guy time talk. And basically he's like, my conscience is bothering me. He wants Hal to stay to help him save the world, and he's like, dude, you're a good enough hero. Trust me, you'll do it. And he's like, listen, he's right though. I didn't save the world. What happened was, and then you get the backstory. The Anti-Monitor was eating the universe, as he said, because he's an Anti-Monitor, he's going to destroy things. And as he was eating the universes, they were going to get to his world, and the professor made a deal with him, saying he would open a rift for him to get into a brand new universe to fuck up. And so that's what happened. And basically, he sparks an industrial revolution, pollutes the planet, and changes things. And there's a lot like the atmosphere of this planet is very polluted, very murky, and and that's what the professor did. Now it turns out when the Anti-Monitor shows up, not to say Steam Lantern was a coward, he attacked. And he hit him with everything he had. It just didn't do anything. But at the same time, the professor opened the rift, so it looked like to people watching that that's what happened. Alright. So then they go to open the rift on both sides. It's working. And all of a sudden they get attacked by the professor. And the professor basically has the chick corner, and he's like, listen, if you don't cut this shit out, I'm going to open fire. and he warns them, and at the end of the steampunk goes to help, because the steampunk was there to help Hal open the rift, and then he had to go help the ship. And then we're losing the fight. The ship was going down, and Hal couldn't sit by and take that, so he went to go help. You know, he was going to escape while everybody else had trouble. So that's what happened. He stopped the ship from falling, or you know, well, it fell, but he caught it, and he saved the people. And then they got cornered by the robots, and the professor's like, listen, if you don't surrender, I'm going to shoot, and you can't stop me from shooting. And so they get captured, and then they're talking it out. And basically, Steam Lantern says, you know, if you let her go, I'll admit to everybody I was a fraud, and I'll tell the truth. And he's like, on my word. He's like, well, all right, I'll let you go, but you have to say something first before I let them go. And he does. He goes on TV basically and tells everybody that you know, the professor wasn't lying, or was he a doctor? Doesn't matter. So then they still cheer for the Steam Lantern, and he's like, why? And Hal Jordan explains to him it's because, you know, everybody recognizes a real hero, and nobody likes a dictator and whatnot. And he's like, dude, I'm not the villain here. This guy lied and took all the credit. I worked real hard to try to save the world. And he goes, and then he comes to the realization he really wasn't a bad guy. It's just under the stress and the weight of what happened, it kind of messed with him. It made him, he was off path and slipping down a slippery slope. Sorry about that. Slippery slope, and he hadn't realized he was on the wrong path. So he's basically a good dude, but he feels horrible because at that moment the sun goes out, which he had been monitoring, and the sun did look bad. And now he's like, yeah, the anti-monitor tricked me. Basically, he ate most of the energy in the sun, so all I could do is prolong our deaths. And now trillions more are in danger in the universe because of me. I'm going to be the most despised man in 2 universes, you know. And it's all my fault. And, you know, he asked Steam Lanterns for forgiveness. Of course, he gives it to him, and then they're going to go down the British way by drinking some tea before they all die. And then but they agree. They're like, no, you know, because Hal's like, wait a minute. They're like, oh, that's right. We'll get Hal home with the equipment that the professor has to open rifts, and it's not going to be an issue. At least Hal doesn't have to die. We'll all go down with the ship, basically. Hal's like, you people cut that out. I'm going to save all your lives, cut it out. And basically, Hal has a plan to open a large enough rift to go around the entire planet, thus bringing them into our universe. And so that's what they did. And meanwhile, Hal's ring is running out of power. He does it. He makes it all the way around. His ring powers off. He turns back into like regular looking Hal. Starts to free fall. Steam Lantern saves him, and then, you know, Hal contacts the ship, lets them know everything's good, and he saved an entire world. And that's basically the entire episode. You know, could probably summarize that a little quicker, but I really liked this episode. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was cool to see the Steam Lantern stuff. I'm gonna, you know what, and it felt like a legitimate. I mean, I know this whole season's very plot driven. You know, both stories arcs are, but this one felt fun. It just felt like a fun sci-fi type of, you know, Green Lantern story, and it just felt nice and fun, and it almost felt like it could have been standalone. Obviously, because that's where they pulled the story from, but it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, so I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. I'm going to say it was a great episode. You know, it's everything you love about Green Lantern and the Green Lantern show. And I will say this, I think the show's getting better. I think the storytelling's getting better. They manage, the pacing is good. I think it's getting better. And so I'm really enjoying it. But that's Alert Wolf saying, click it up if you like it. Comment if you must, subscribe if you can, and I am signing off.